What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here to talk about selling at a loss. I feel this is the thing people struggle with the most by far. I don't even really think it's close, to be quite honest with you. I think people really get held up on wanting to take a win on every single card and end up in a worse off position than if they just would have bit the bullet early on. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. I've touched on this in various different videos. I did the one, an example that we're going to use in here is the Luka Select Premier. I did a video on that a couple weeks ago, about maybe like a week ago. I don't remember exactly when it was now, but recently. And I've talked about the Deshaun Watson incident, which maybe we'll bring that up today too. I think I've done a dedicated video on this once, but it's been a long time. But I know I've talked about it in various videos, the whole concept of selling at a loss and kind of the space that you have to walk through, the math equation that you essentially need to do in your head to kind of decide if you want to pull the trigger on getting out from under a card or not. And like I said, I think people really have a hard time. They always want to win, and you're going to take some hits. Not every card that you get, comic, whatever. This could apply to anything. Comic books, cards, Marvel cards, stocks. I mean, whatever. They're not all going to be winners. You're going to have some losers in there for sure. It's going to happen. But minimizing that loss as much as possible and having a tough conversation with yourself, I think could go a long way. So, famously, the Luka Premier, I bought this. This is the chart of when I bought it. I don't remember exactly which sale I was, but I bought either at 11.25 or 12.25. One of these two is me. I didn't double check the look. I just know that it was mid-May, and that's about what I paid for it. I sold right here. I think it was on 11.12, somewhere right in here. I sold it for $500. I netted out $450 after fees. So maybe I sold for a little over $500. I don't remember exactly, but I netted out $450 after fees. I know that for sure. I netted out $450 after fees. So I sold right in here, this little 500 plateau. I don't remember the exact date, but right in there is when I sold, and that's when I made the video. Since then, it's dropped another $100. It's down to 404 right now. And there were people saying, "Oh no, you should have held that card. Why would you sell it at that big of a loss? It's a Luka Select Premier." So here's the thing. When you look at this stuff, you need to decide. So when you get yourself in one of these situations and you're under on a card like this, and I was under a lot on this card. It's like a $700 hit I took on this. What I did was I evaluated this card is currently selling for $500, or I could get $500 out of, give or take $450, $500. I paid $1,100 to $1,200 for it. That was a mistake. I got it wrong. It is what it is. So for whatever situation you're in, look and say to yourself, and have an honest conversation with yourself. Measure the market, whatever's going on. What is it going to take for this card, for me to just get back to even? Not even making a profit, just even. What would it take for this card in the current marketplace to get back to $1,200? Luka would have to win an MVP and an NBA title, in my opinion, for that card to get back to $1,200. Do I see that happening this year? No. Do I see that happening next year? Probably not. The year after? Maybe, because when you start getting that far out, the NBA is such a wild and crazy place that you never know what deals can end up happening. Hell, even next year, if they made a bunch of maneuvers in the offseason and reloaded around him or pulled some shenanigans or whatever, there's a possibility, at least an MVP anyway. So you could win an MVP without winning a title, but I think you would need both for this to be a $1,200 card again. And now it could go up. Maybe I don't necessarily get all the way back to $1,200. Maybe I hold it and it gets back to $800, whatever. But this is the discussion that you need to have with yourself. What is it going to take for this thing to get back to a break-even point for me, let alone a win? And if you have a serious conversation with yourself, and that is a very long time horizon, which is what I saw here, base card, select, we talked about it in a video. I don't want to harp on it, but Everything about this card was going the wrong direction. I get that it's low pop. It doesn't matter. There's not high demand behind Select right now. Maybe that changes one day. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. All I know is I was not willing to just sit on the card. I would rather have the cash. My gut, my mental gymnastics, my mental math, whatever you want to call it, led me to believe that I'd be better off having the $450 in cash than the card in my case at the time that I sold it. Now, it's gone down another 50. We'll see how low it ends up going. But I don't see it coming back up, at least at nowhere near the levels that I bought it at anytime soon. And people just get so hung up on the mental block of, I don't want to take a loss on this card. I don't want to take a loss on this card. And I'm not saying take a loss on every single card. That's obviously not the case. Some stuff, you will want to hold through. If I had a nice LeBron, that I have my LeBron PSA 8 Topps Chrome, I'm under on. Like $500 probably, maybe even $600. I don't remember off the top of my head from when I bought that over the summer. I don't care. I still believe in that card ultra long term. I am perfectly fine with it. Maybe it takes a long time for it to get back up to what I paid for it, but I'm okay with that. I mean, how many times do you walk around a show and there's a comp on a card, there's been multiple sales, whatever. Everyone agrees that that's the current comp, but the dealer won't sell it at that price because that would put him underwater on it. Okay, sure. But I don't think people ask the next question. Well, what if you sold it at, you're into it for 25, you sold it for 2, because that's the current market, and reading the room that right now it's a buyer's market. It is not a seller's market right now. It is a buyer's market. What would be more profitable for you, to sit on that card and hope it goes back up again, or to have the $2,000 in your pocket to go make a play on something else, or to have the money available to go make a play on something? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to lean to the cash on hand, especially in the current market that we are in. I would rather have the cash than, I don't want to say a dead card, but a card that's not going anywhere anytime soon. And, you hear Roth Cards talk about this all the time. I've never met the guy, but I like the stuff that he preaches in his vlog videos about don't get greedy, just take profit. I 100% agree. There's been so many times, and I myself, listen, I'm no, perfect person when it comes to this stuff. I kick myself all the time about, and I'm sure, all of you think back, all you boys and girls out there, think back. I'm sure there's a card that, you were into it for $1,000, comps were 1,500. Someone offered you $1,250 on it, and you're like, nah, it's a $1,500 card. Let's do $1,425, and someone walks away, and you're like, whatever. I want my $1,500. That's what it's selling for. I want my $1,400. I'll give you a little discount off eBay comps, whatever. And then you never end up selling it, and next thing you know, the comps are $1,000. And now you're like, well, damn it. Whoops. I can tell you right now, I have cards in my case right now that I have done that same thing on, and I smack myself for it every once in a while. Because we get stuck on this idea of taking the biggest win possible. Just make your money. If you can make a little bit, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, whatever it is, move on to the next thing. Just get the cash, move on to the next thing. If you're underwater on a card, sit down and do the mental math. Does it make sense to sell at a loss, or is it something you truly believe in long term? I'll switch this to a comic book example. If I'm in on a blue chip key comic book, which right now, none of the major stuff that I bought I'm underwater on. I guess Ultimate Fallout 4 second print, but I don't know that I would consider that a blue chip key. But like, say the Hulk 181, say the comic book market crashes. I just spent $5,000 on the Hulk 181 like a month ago. Say that cut to $3.5K in the next 3 months. That could happen. It absolutely could happen. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? I don't think it will, but it could. You never know. World's a crazy place right now. That would be something I would not be selling for at a loss. That's an established blue chip pedigree collectible item. First appearance of Wolverine in a upper mid grade looks better than the actual grade itself, presents super well, white pages, whole 9 yards. That is something that I believe in long term that I would not sell at a loss. A Luka base Premier, a 2018 base card is a dime a dozen. I don't care that the select pop is only $675. There are so many Luka cards out there. People have so many different options to get into that I'm not going to get held up on the fact that it's a low pop base card. The only time I would do that might be a courtside. That's it. Premier level, my mistake. It just never caught the respect, and then select got crapped on by Panini, which was an unforeseen circumstance. So, something like this, I would move off of. To switch back to a comic book example, if it was a semi-modern key that there was a lot of out there, I would just move off of it. And then, what do we always say? You could buy it back. I could buy, technically right now, so if I walked into a show and someone was willing to sell slightly below eBay comps, I could already buy this card back for less than what I sold it for a couple weeks ago. I sold it, I got $450 net out of it after fees. I could walk into a show, say, hey, this last couple comps on this are $400. I'll give you $360 for it, 10% off eBay comps. If I can find someone willing to actually sell at that price, that's a whole different story. But I mean, that's a perfect example right there. I could have made $100 off that card, made up $100 of my losses on that card, and buy the card back for $100 cheaper if I really believe in the card that much. So, that's just another example of how you can potentially work your way out of this stuff. But 9 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, I think if you sit down and take an honest look at things, I honestly think in a lot of cases, you're better off just moving the thing. Unless it's one of those blue chippers like we talked about with the Hulk 181. Or like a giant size X-Men 1, or, that sort of stuff. A LeBron Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 9. If you're into that for a little bit more than you should be, a Jordan 86 Fleer, stuff like that. Even a LeBron base Topps Chrome. I still believe in that card long term. So as long as you have a long-term time horizon, I think that's okay. But a Luka base from 2018, nah. I don't think this card ever gets back to $1,000. I really don't. I could be absolutely wrong on that. I don't see it getting back to $1,000. There's just too many other options out there, and the market's a lot smarter now. And I think those are all things people just aren't good about looking around the room, as in like the market, and then doing the projection going forward of what is it going to take for this card to get back to here, and what could I just do with the money? Is there better things I could put that money into just by taking the money out of taking the hit, getting the money out of it, and move on. I don't want this to be a 20-minute video, but the Watson thing, to go back to that one, I took the $350 hit in 3 days, put the money that I made out of the Watson by selling it at $900 when I bought it at $1,250, and took that $900 and bought the Acuna First Bowman Chromes for I think it was like 200 and some bucks a piece. I bought 3 of them or 4 of them, I don't even remember. Sold 3 of them for massive profit because he went off, and then sent 1 home. So I actually came out ahead on that deal. From the initial $1,250 investment in the Watson to the $300 hit for selling it at $900, $350 hit for selling it at $900. I made up the loss plus some and got an Acuna base First Bowman Chrome out of the deal. Is that going to happen every time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that would have never happened if I was still sitting on the Watson. And the Watson was another case of what is it going to take for this card to get back to even? It's going to be an ultra long wait. And the cash just made more sense. So, like I said, this might be a rehash of some stuff we talked about before on the channel, but I just wanted to dump it all into one video. And I think this is something, once again, I think I've made a video similar to this, but it was probably 9 months ago. I think it's important to kind of bring this around and talk about it every so often, new people coming in, and just as a refresher for myself and others. Because once again, I'm not perfect. I fall into this same trap still to this day. I can look through my case right now and find cards that I'd have been better off just taking the hit on. And that's not even because of the down market. This was even when the market was going good, that there is stuff that I should have just moved, that I just held too long and got too cute with. Whether it's because I didn't want to take a slight loss, I wanted to no, everything's got to be a win. Everything's got to be a win. I really think we get tied up on that too much. So curious for your thoughts down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff while you're down there leaving a comment, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.